Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon or good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We're here for our weekly chat, a weekly mini training. And today we're going to speak about 3 things new and yoga teachers in general often forget. And that will be either forgetting or neglecting. And I'm going to explain what those things mean just in a moment. We're live on Facebook, live on Instagram, and let me just quickly share the link with our group. If you're watching on Instagram and you're on Facebook, join our Facebook group as well. It's called Teach Yoga in English support group. And there we share tips and techniques for yoga teachers that want to learn how to teach in English. So if you're not a member yet, I highly recommend. I would love to actually see you there as well. And just sharing the link there now. If you're joining me today, say hello. Hi, Tara. Nice to see you. I need to move over a little bit because my laptop is right in front of the messages, but I will check in with you regularly. So here we go. 3 things we often neglect. Often forget. All right then. So if you're watching today, what 3 things do you think you forget or neglect when you're teaching yoga? What 3 things come to mind? What do you think of? Oh, good question. Okay. What 3 things come to mind? Giving you a moment to reply and check in here on Facebook as well. What 3 things do you think we forget or neglect when we teach yoga or as yoga teachers? So the things I'm going to speak about are actually kind of an extension of the chat that we had last week. I think I sometimes forget to pause and give my voice a break. Amazing. That's a really, really good one. It's true. Often we speak very fast, or we even forget to breathe ourselves and forget to take a pause when we speak. That's an amazing one, really good one. I didn't include it today, but I definitely want to speak about that more. Thank you, Tara. But yes, so today's chat is an extension of our 5 common mistakes of last week. Last week we spoke about 5 common mistakes, and this week we're speaking about things that we neglect or forget. And I was initially going to combine them, but I thought, you know what? The 3 things I'm going to speak about today are not actually things that are mistakes, but are things that we neglect. And when you neglect something, it means that you are either not taking care of it, you're not taking care of it properly, or you think or believe that you don't have time to do these things. In other words, it's just not your priority. And we have to have priorities, because if we want to teach more confidently, effectively, hold space for our students, we have to prioritize things in life. So knowing this little background information, you might know what I'm going to speak about today, the 3 things that we do neglect or forget. They are very common things. I have neglected and forgot them. My teachers did. A lot of teachers I know did. And so all of what I'm going to speak about is not to judge anyone. It's not to make you feel bad, but I really hope to simply give you some introspection to create awareness and give you something to think about, and maybe share with other teachers that you know, or maybe your own yoga teachers. All right, I see there's people coming in on Facebook now as well. Hi guys, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for joining. Let us know that you're here if you're watching live so I can actually see who is here, because on Facebook I don't see names of people popping up. All right. So Tara already said she often forgets to take a pause or when she is speaking. This is something I'm guilty of as well. That's why I have to drink water in between. And this is very common. Number one, first thing that we often forget or neglect is our self-practice or self-care. One of the most common, and I dare to say it's the thing, number one thing we forget or neglect is our self-practice or self-care. I don't have time to practice yoga or asana. I don't have time to do any type of meditation or mindfulness practice. I don't have time for self-care, basically because my schedule is too busy or my clients, my students are my priority. So these are two very common scenarios. My students are my priority or I am too busy. When you are serving others, it's natural that you want to put the needs of your students, your clients, the participants of your class first. I understand, and I've been there, that you're willing to sacrifice your own practice, and you probably or have done this as well. That you find the well-being of your students or the participants in your classes more important than that of your own. The other thing is that I'm too busy. I'm too busy. On the other hand, you might have a very busy schedule. You might be working another job. You might be homeschooling your children. It might be that you have a very busy week, and by the time you get home or by the time you have finished your tasks, you are happy to have a moment for yourself, a mindlessness moment to do nothing. Maybe you'd like to watch some TV, a film, a movie, or scroll through social media and just really do nothing in this time. And I'm saying mindlessness, not mindfulness, because we just want to disconnect. It can be either or, it can be a combination. So combination of I'm too busy or my students are my priority. It can be a different scenario as well. But the key of this point is that it all comes down that you're not making yourself a priority. And my question is, when this is the case, my question is, from what place are you serving your students if you're not taking care of yourself? Self-practice is necessary for many, many, many different reasons. The first thing, obviously, is practice of asana, but this is a completely different thing that one I want to speak about today, and I want to actually do a whole episode or chat on this. So I'm saving it for another moment, but obviously practicing asana is a big one. But another thing is that if you practice self-care or self-practice, we experience the things that we want to teach for ourselves. And it gives us the experience as well to speak from experience and improve our skills, abilities, our knowledge, to explain things clearer, to really understand what we're teaching, what impact it has, what benefits it has, why things work, why they don't work, why are not things feel right, why are not things work for certain body types and not for others, why things are challenging or not so challenging. All of this experience you will gain in your self-practice and is necessary to serve your places from a more informed and compassionate place. This experience really helps you to understand why or why not things work. And what I already said, why not things work, but also what feels right, what is challenging or what's not so challenging. It helps you to get to know yourself better, get to know others better, and be more compassionate with yourself and with others. It helps you to understand the people in your classes better. And the most important thing, well, not the most important, but one really important thing of self-practice is that you're as a teacher, you're setting an example. You are in the role of a parent or a role model. Your students take you as a living example. They aspire to be somewhat like you. I hope in a healthy way. It doesn't mean that they have to be obsessed with you or look up to you. To look up to someone means that they really adore you and want to be like you. That's not really the case, but they do take an example from you. So if you're not practicing any type of self-care or self-practice, they have nothing to follow as an example here. You probably are teaching. You are teaching because you want to share how yoga has changed your life, how yoga has improved your life and make you a better person. So to really show your students how it has changed you and how it's constantly changing you, because it's not just one change that happened once in the past and now that's done, it keeps going. So we need to keep practicing to show them. We need to keep practicing to show them, but also practicing for ourselves. And with a self-practice, I don't mean that you have to practice yoga asana for an hour and a half or 3 hours every morning. You don't have to have a dinacharya every day. So that's an Ayurvedic routine. You don't have to do an hour of pranayama or meditation, because self-practice can be whatever helps you to check in with how you feel, to check in with your senses, to recharge your batteries, to obtain the energy you need to fully be present, grounded, hold space for your students, and serve them from a place that serves them and doesn't serve you. Okay. So it helps you to help all of these practices help you to help others, support others, guide others, and explore their yoga journey for themselves with your help and support. So your self-practice could really include the obvious, asana, meditation, pranayama, but it could also be a bath, going for a bath in the morning or in the evening, a walk in the park, or reading, listening to a podcast, anything that helps you to recharge your batteries or to really gain the energy you need to serve your students. All right, I hope these have given you some ideas as to what self-practice could mean for you, but this is your job. It's your job to find out what works for you. And also this is part of teaching, exploring all the options, exploring new things, exploring different things to help your students explore these things for themselves in return. So number one, the things that we often forget or neglect because we either don't have time, because we're very busy, or our students are our priority. The well-being of our students are our priority. Goodness, I've got trouble speaking properly today. Hi everyone that's joining us. If you are here, let us know how you're feeling, what's going on, and what do you think you often neglect or forget? Just checking in on Facebook as well again, quickly. Amazing. All right, going to point number 2. Point number 2, or thing number 2 we forget is taking time before class. My question is, how do you arrive to your classes? What do you do just before your classes? There are many different things possible here, and there's no right or wrong answer here. But what do you do before your classes? Do you live in a busy place, and are you often stuck in traffic before you get or arrive to your class? Do you homeschool your children and maybe teach between these activities, the activities at home, teaching your children and teaching your own students? Do you work another job from home or at the office? And do you have meetings just before your classes, which maybe are extended or they go over time and you only have 2 minutes left before you actually enter your class? So many teachers, and I have done this myself too, show up to the class the moment it starts. Some even arrive late. And you know, sometimes life really, really gets in the way. Life is surprising, life is unexpected. We can't anticipate for everything that could happen. But you know the difference between not being prepared and life being in the way. You know the difference between showing up fully in the present or having many unexpected things that you couldn't anticipate for, and that's why you're late or arriving on the dot. It's so important that we take time before our classes. It really, really is important to hold space, to be there for your students, to teach your class with care, confidently, and from a grounded place. One thing or one tip I have for this is to tell yourself your class starts 15 minutes earlier than it really starts. So, for example, my class start on Monday starts at 7:30. I tell myself my class starts at 7:15. At 7:15, I get on the mat, move my body. I check in with how I feel in that moment. I revise my script or my sequence. I lit a candle. You can use incense or use a diffuser, whatever you like to use. Maybe you use a playlist. You want to make sure it's not on shuffle or you're using the right one. You can spend a moment in child's pose or sukhasana, an easy seat. Whatever works for you to feel grounded, present, and helps you to, after that, really, really hold space for your students. So it's a moment in which you take time to get centered, check in with how you feel, arrive in your practice, because you know it only takes 3, 4, 5 breaths to feel calm, to cool down, to check in with yourself. So I invite you to really, really make use of your yoga teacher toolkit. You've got everything there. You've got everything there to arrive on the mat and get present or become present, set an intention even to hold space for your students during the class. If you arrive early and you do all of these things, you will not only feel more grounded and prepared, you will also class less in your head. And if you don't do these things, your students will sense it. If you do these things, your students will sense it too. So it's really important that we practice self-care, that we practice, not sure if I'm still here. Okay, we're back. Are we still live? Yeah. Okay. Where was I? So not only will you feel more grounded and prepared if you do these practices, if you show up to your class early and you center yourself, you will also lead your class less distracted, less messy in your head. And like I said, if you don't do this, your students will sense it. But if you do this, your students will sense it too. Your students are as sensitive as you are. They're also human beings. They might not know what's going on in your mind, but they do sense if you're calm or if you're actually distracted in your mind. So another thing is that I dare to bet that as you start your yoga classes, you ask your students to do this. You ask them to arrive on their mat, leave their day behind, set an intention, focus on how they feel. So follow your own example. Do what you ask your students to do, and do this 15 minutes before class, not with them. Do this before, by yourself. Okay, going to point number 3. So far, for the people that have been watching and are checking in later, so far we have been speaking about 3 things new yoga teachers and sometimes experienced yoga teachers often forget or neglect, and they are self-practice and self-care, taking the time before a class or not taking time before class. And number 3 is what we're going to speak about right now. Number 3 is something that we spoke about last week as well. And I want to go into more depth because we spoke about how self-conscious we are when we teach yoga. That we're really busy thinking of how we come across, what people think of us, if we're doing it right, how people perceive us or what their perspective is of our class and how we teach. And this is not necessarily a mistake, because self-consciousness doesn't mean that you are full of yourself, that you think that you're a hero or you're the best, you're amazing, everyone loves you. It doesn't mean these things. It often actually means that you have insecurities, limiting beliefs, false or negative thought patterns about yourself. So self-consciousness is not because you're egocentric, but often because you are insecure or experience limiting beliefs. So these limiting beliefs or these negative thought patterns can either come from childhood, from early experiences in your life, but they also can come from your first experiences as a yoga teacher. It might be that you're thinking of how you come across, how you present yourself, if your students like you or don't like you. And if you think of these things, it will make that you teach your class busy thinking of who you are and how you come across, rather than serving your students or being there for them. So I'm going to give you 3 things that I recommend to unlearn to to really serve your students and be less self-conscious in your class. So unlearn belittling yourself. Belittling yourself towards yourself, but also in front of your students. So telling yourself that you're worthless, that you're not doing it right, that you're stupid, or that you're weird. But also unlearning, telling your students that I'm sorry, but I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sorry, I'm such a failure. I messed up the whole sequence. Or I'm sorry, I messed up left and right, and we need to restart from the beginning. These things are unnecessary and don't help you, neither your students. Another thing to unlearn is I'm sorry in general. We spoke about this last week. It's okay to apologize yourself, saying, excuse me, but please, 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 please never say I am sorry unless you hurt someone, you damaged someone, or someone got seriously offended. In this case, it's a good idea to say that you're sorry. Otherwise, in the case of messing up left and right, messing up your sequence, maybe losing your train of thought or not sure where you're going next, in that case, you can just say, excuse me. Another thing to unlearn is thinking for your students. They must think I messed up the sequence, or they must think I'm a bad teacher. They must think I'm useless. You don't know what's going on in someone's mind. You have no idea what they are really thinking of. Yesterday, I posted or I reposted something I saw on Instagram. It was a circle. And of that circle, they took 10% and wrote, this is what you see and know about a person. The other 90% plays off in their mind. You have no idea what they're really thinking and what else is going on in their lives. Another thing that I thought was really interesting is that in January, we wrote a blog and it was about our thought patterns, how we have patterns that are so ingrained in our subconscious mind that we are not even aware of them anymore. And they explained that we have about 60 or 70,000 thoughts a day. And of those thoughts, we only speak about 20,000. that means that we have another 50,000 thoughts that are not being spoken out loud. And this happens with your students too. You have no idea what's going on in their minds. And people are very busy thinking of themselves and their own lives. So the chances are that they are really not caring about your mistakes or how you come across. On top of that, they are there for their experience. They might be concentrated, they might be thinking of their busy schedule, they might be thinking about what they're going to have for dinner, many things that could go on in their minds. It's not, very often, it's not actually about you. So all of these things that I'm explaining here to unlearn our self-conscious in our practices, or when we teach yoga, sum up are our combination of unlearning negative thought patterns and apologizing yourself for a class that you believe, no one told you, but you believe didn't go well. Okay. Instead, what we can do, or what would be very beneficial, very useful to do, is put the focus on your students. So if you arrive to your class 15 minutes early, you have time to connect with your students before class. You can ask them about your day, about their needs, about their desires, about how they feel, what they want in their yoga class today. A good example of this is that, for example, this week I was teaching moon salutations because it's the full moon. And I love theming my classes to current circumstances or situations. And one of my students, and I've been teaching her for a really long time, she came into class, she just got her second vaccination for COVID, and she was really not feeling well. So I asked her, what do you want in class today? She asked me for twists or twisting positions. I was teaching moon salutations, and they don't really include twist. But I thought, you know what, we can actually include them while we do this and this asana, or in between. There are possibilities to actually do them. This means that you take off the focus on your sequence, on your teaching, on what you have planned for them, but instead focus on what they need, what they want. So it will help you to be less self-conscious and more conscious about their experience. Be serving them. You know, in the beginning, it might be challenging to add or take out things of your sequence, but that's what we are here for at Enga as well. It's something that I would love to help you with, because with time, with practice, you will learn to be more creative and understand where you can tweak and puzzle things in to really, really listen to your students' needs. However, another thing that we can do instead is to observe and check in with the students while they practice. Don't be afraid to come off your mat and see how they are doing. If you have not so many students in your classes, you can actually give personalized cues. If you have a lot of students in your classes, you give generalized cues that really serve everyone. Give variations, offer variations, I would like to say. Offer variations, offer new possibilities, give them the option to explore. Don't get too stuck on your own idea of the sequence or what works for you. Really make it about them. Then, other thing that we can do instead of focusing on yourself and focusing on our students is ask your students how they feel after class. Always, always, always ask them how they feel. First, it will actually give you new insights as to what works for them, what doesn't work for them, what do they like or what do they don't like. It's something to learn from. It's feedback that you can apply into your professional development. So it's feedback that you can take into improving your teaching qualities, abilities, and your skills. So ask them how they feel, ask them what they liked, what they don't like, and take this into your future teachings to really, really make your classes about them. And the last thing, connect with other teachers and really invest in professional development. This is something we often forget, we often neglect, maybe because we don't have time, it costs money, you're not sure if this is right for you, or maybe you don't believe in yourself enough that you think that this is worth it. But I promise you, connecting with other teachers and professional development are necessary to become more confident, more effective, but also gain experience and really, really, really feel as if you're doing to become the teacher that you want to be, that you have in you. I believe you have it in you already. It's all there, but it takes this experience, all of the things that we went through today. So the self-practice, awareness, things that we teach, we have to practice ourselves to become the teachers that we want to be. Right. I'm going to sum up many things I spoke about today. Oh, thank you, Mano. Thank you for showing up. I have to move a little bit around and look past the screen. But yes, thank you for showing up today. Thank you, everyone on Facebook as well. Let me sum up what we spoke about. So 3 things we often forget and often neglect. First of all, self-practice and self-care. So important. And self-practice, we spoke about asana, but all of the rest as well. Mindfulness, journaling, just taking time for yourself, any type of self-care, anything that serves you, that helps you to recharge your batteries, to gain energy, and to hold space for your students. Number 2, time before class. Always arrive before, and preferably 15 minutes before. Take the time to feel into your body. Make sure your playlist is not on shuffle. Lit a candle. Revise your script. Revise your sequence. Greet your students. Ask them how they are. Really take this time to set an intention, get centered, get grounded, and notice how you feel. To also serve from a more compassionate place and centered and grounded place for your students. Number 3, the class is about your students and not about you. So this really comes back to this self-consciousness. Am I doing it right? Is this what they want? Do they like me? Do they not like me? All of these things are unnecessary thoughts, and we can really easily, I'm saying easily, it's easier said than done. It's a practice, but creating awareness around the way that you think and the negative thoughts that come up in your mind will help you to little by little detach yourself from these thoughts and really make the class about your students. So when you focus on your students, you can really connect with them, focus on what they like in their classes, what they need from their classes, really. It will help you to observe them and check in with how they feel after, before, and during the before, during, and after the class. And the other thing that was important here is stop saying I'm sorry, but use excuse me instead. Okay, lot of talking, lot of information today. I hope all of this has been very useful. If you have questions, please send them in. Send me a DM, send me a private message, or send me an email at engaunite.com. And if you would like more information and more training like this, download or register for our 10 tips for multilingual yoga teachers video guide, because all of these tips have to do with these things, but more so with language that we use in our classes. So we speak about using ing, not using ing, mindful language, mindful pronunciation, complex grammar, and many other things. So have a look. It's on our website, engaunite.com/10 tips for multilingual yoga teachers. And I think that's it for today. I hope to see you again next week. Next week, we'll be back with Anna, and we're going to speak about private clients, how to obtain private clients in your multilingual yoga business. I hope to see you there, and I'm wishing you a great rest of your day. If I won't see you tomorrow for the Q&A, a great weekend, and I will see you again soon. All right. See you later, everyone.